Stop the AIDS! Stop the war! U.S. out of El Salvador! Stop the AIDS! Stop the war! U.S. out of El Salvador! Stop the AIDS! Stop the war! U.S. out of El Salvador! Stop the AIDS! Stop the war! U.S. out of El Salvador! Stop the AIDS! Stop the war! U.S. out of El Salvador! Stop the AIDS! Stop the war! U.S. out of El Salvador! The people united will never be defeated! The people united will never be defeated! The people united will never be defeated!
You can hear the facts and the figures about El Salvador. All the dead, the disappeared, all the money that's going down there. And you can hear about the torture, you can hear about the cold-blooded cruelty, and be deeply moved and be deeply angered as I was. But when you sit, you have the opportunity to sit, as I did, on a 6-hour bus ride from San Salvador to Segundo Montes, next to a young woman who lives in Segundo Montes but can only go there on weekends as she has to work in the capital during the week. And you ask her in your limited Spanish, trying to connect in some simple way, how many brothers and sisters she has. And she responds, but then she continues without prompting, pero no tengo mamá, but I don't have a mom. La mataron, los soldados. They killed her, the soldiers. When you hear that, you're never the same again, and you can't remain silent any longer. Because the pain's no longer abstract or removable. It's very real, and it's yours, especially when you realize that it's some of your money that's paying for those soldiers' uniforms, their training, that bullet. We've all traveled different paths to come to this rally today, and we all have our different stories to tell. But today, those paths have converged, and our voices are joined to cry, Ya basta, no more USA to El Salvador.
Right now, our next speaker might be hard for you to hear, but it's probably the strongest voice that we've got here today. Roberto Gomez, arrested in 1982 and tortured. His family was assassinated.
This is the first time I had the opportunity to talk directly to the American people. In 1982, I was arrested by the militaries of El Salvador after I discovered that they were selling the same arms that the United States are sending to El Salvador to combat the FMLN to the same groups. I was a member of President Duarte's cabinet, and because I discovered the corruption in the armed forces of El Salvador, I was arrested, my family was assassinated. My wife, my 2 kids. I have suffered in these 9 years persecution. I was in jail for 3.5 years. And after 3.5 years, I was kicked out of my country because I didn't have a choice. I cannot stay in my country. The military want to kill me. They want to kill the rest of my family, my brother, his wife, his kids. And I had to get out of El Salvador and move to Mexico. In Mexico City, a death squad followed me. They tried to assassinate me in Toluca, Mexico, and then in Mexico City. The telephone company of Mexico protect me, and they sent me to Chihuahua, Mexico. And the death squad followed me there. They tried to get me, but thanks to the American people, I am here today. I am a legal political refugee of my country. And on the 6th of this month of August, the rest of my family arrived from El Salvador with the help of officials from the Minnesota and from the United States Congress. So right now, most of the family, my family, are living here. One of the reasons I refuse to collaborate with the military is because the high corruption in the armed forces, because of the high command, because they're getting rich with your tax-paid money that you're sending over there, because they are getting big fortunes in the banks, not just in the European banks, but also in Central America with the corrupt government of Guatemala. The Guatemalan army and the army of El Salvador are one. They collaborate each other. They plan each other how to get rid of those people who are against the military. The problem in El Salvador is not the Catholic Church or the people of El Salvador or the FMLN. The problem in El Salvador is the militaries. They are the ones that for 60 years, more than 60 years, they've been killing our people. They've been getting rich with the money that you guys are sending from here over there to help the poor, to build roads, to build schools. This money are used and are packed by them. I was, I think, the first official in the government to denounce the corruption in 1982. I called a press conference, and in that press conference, I told everybody how the military were getting rich, how the high command were killing innocent people. Yes, because they don't agree with them or because they don't want to collaborate with them. After that, I was arrested, I was tortured, and I was imprisoned for 3.5 years. During my arrest, my wife and my kids were killed. For me, it was a big personal loss. But thanks to the American people, thanks to people like you, I have survived. Today, I am working with the other people from El Salvador, so the American government stops sending military aid to our country. We will have peace in El Salvador when the military is stopped. If the countries around Europe are free now, why can we be free too? Why can we have the right to choose our own government, to choose our own ideas, to have our own people behind our government? And that is why we are working together in here. I beg you to write to your congressman, to your senator, to stop sending military aid to El Salvador. That's the only way we will have peace in El Salvador. With your help, we can do it. I had to make conscience in you Americans to realize that what you're doing in El Salvador is not helping to survive the people, it's killing our people. And stop sending military aid to El Salvador is killing our own people. So please, I beg you in the name of God to help, to write, so the American government stops sending military over there. Thank you very
This morning, well, actually about around noon, between noon and 1, about 20-25 people moved into Dave Durenberger's office uninvited and have been occupying his office, trying to get across to Mr. Durenberger that the aid that the aid vote that is coming up is crucial and that he needs to vote no on the aid bill for El Salvador.
Well, even though the police, the FBI, and the CIA are probably getting suspicious by now, we have to continue meeting like this. It's always good to have this opportunity to be with brothers and sisters, friends, relatives, to express our concern for the continued direction that the so-called political leaders of this country are taking us. I was handed a schedule of events that Ramsey Clark and others are putting together a war crimes tribunal to try George Bush, to try Ronald Reagan, to try Norman Schwarzkopf, Haney, a lot of them. They are every bit as war criminals as the Nazi empire. And we should be prepared to speak out, to take any action, to answer any challenge. And the day comes when those criminals are asked, what did you do? And what was your responsibility for these crimes against humanity? They better be able to answer very quick, and that is for sure. But you and I that are standing up across this country, we can say that we at least tried to stop this murderous government for what they're doing in our name. They ought to be ashamed of it. They're war criminals, and they must be held accountable for their crimes.
People are upstairs, risking arrest right now to stop the aid to El Salvador can hear us. Let's get really loud and let them hear us. Stop the aid! Stop the war! USR El Salvador! Stop the aid! Stop the war! USR El Salvador!
Here, I just got down from upstairs where right now 16 of our friends and co-workers are sitting in Senator Dave Durenberger's office right this very moment. All right. A nine of the folks who are there right now are handcuffed to various pieces of furniture, such as the doors, and to each other, demonstrating their complete resistance.
Okay, we don't think the people were in that thing that just came out. What we want to do is we want to line people up at the corner on Hennepin and on 6th. So that way we can keep an eye on both doors. So when the police do make a move to pull them out of the office, we'll be able to be sure that they're coming out this time. And I just talked to the sergeant here. She said there was nobody in that van. But you know how that goes. Now, people know that there's been a lot of talk and discussion of a negotiated political solution in El Salvador. Now, that's something that's essential, and that's something that we can have some impact on. And it's something I know we will have some impact on. And we also know that there are two sides in El Salvador. There's a side of justice, injustice, the oppressed, and the oppressor. Now, in this next period, we have to do what we can to aid the side of the oppressed. And by that I mean we have to intensify. When I say solidarity, I mean concretely, we have to intensify our solidarity with FMLN. I'd like to wind up by leading a chant that expresses the main demand that is about why we are here today. No aid, no war, U.S. out of El Salvador. No aid, no war, U.S. out of El Salvador. No aid, no war, U.S. out of El Salvador. No aid, no war, U.S. out of El Salvador. No aid, no war, U.S. out of El Salvador. No aid. Ho ho! USA has got to go. Hey hey! Ho ho! USA has got to go. Hey hey! Ho ho!
they consider to be life, which we know to be death. I live each day to kill death. I die each day to beget life. And in this dying unto death, I die 1,000 times and am reborn another 1,000 through that love from my people which nourishes hope.
It was 2 years ago today that the 6 priests and the 2 women were dragged from their sleep in the middle of the night and brutally murdered by 9 Salvadoran military personnel and a colonel. His name was Buenavides. And they did that with the aid of the U.S. government, which is our tax dollars. But a significant event happened recently. And I had the opportunity to be in El Salvador last month, which was just shortly after the New York Accords were signed between the representatives of the FMLN and the Salvadoran government at the United Nations in New York. And the people in El Salvador view these accords as a real triumph, as a real victory of the people of El Salvador. And they are. They're extremely significant. They call for an end to the impunity of the army. They call for the complete dismantling of all the security forces of the Salvadoran military, the National Police, the Treasury Police. Yeah. They call for the establishment of a national civilian police force, one that is not under the direction of the Salvadoran military, nor the direction of the Salvadoran government, but directly under civilian control. Ones that will protect the people instead of murder the people of El Salvador. Now, these accords were won through the hard struggles of the Salvadoran people. They weren't some great thing that the military or government did, and they aren't the result of the U.S. aid that has gone to El Salvador. They were won from a position of strength by the FMLN in their struggle over the last years, and they're won by the struggles of every Salvadoran people and the partner organizations within El Salvador, and they are a victory for the Salvadoran people, and we should feel good about that.
¡Alto la ayuda militar a El Salvador! ¡Alto! ¡Alto la
here today to say thank you to all of you in the name of the Salvadorian people for your support, for all that all you have done so far, and you will continue to do. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that in the name of the Salvadorian people. Gracias.
What would Ignacio Ellacuría, Ignacio Martín Barro, Armando Lopez, Joaquín López y López, Segundo Montes, what would Selena Ramos, Elba Ramos, what would each and every one of them ask of us today? What is solidarity in the 1990s? What is our task in the 1990s? 2 years after their death, as Father Mario said, doing arithmetic, 14 years after the death of the first Jesuit. The deaths continue. What would they ask of us today? First, Father Mario said something about being apartado from the system, being on the outside of the system. Let's congratulate ourselves because we are on the outside. We are on the fringe. It hurts. It's painful. There's not a million of us here today, but every single one of us has made an option to be cold, an option to be at events, an option to get tired, an option to go to Central America, an option to get arrested, an option to have our family members not understand us, an option to be on the outside of a system of death because we want life. And we want life not just for a privileged few. We want life for the majority of God's children on this earth. We want life for everyone. We want life for this planet. So we choose to be on the outside. Then what do? What of our 10 years with Central America, longer years of struggle, what have we done? We've begun to build what's here today, a community of resistance. You are the resistors, you are the community. The Jesuits and the women died and resurrected. When we build community, part of us dies. The part that's individualistic, the part that worships the idol of time, the part that worships the idols of things, we die unto ourselves in order to believe and live in one another. Do not fear if you fall tomorrow, because your brother and sister is at your side. You have chosen to be a community that walks with the Salvadoran people. What else have you chosen in 10 years? You've chosen to risk. When we build that community, when we believe in one another, when we know that the other is at our side, we're willing to risk. Maybe we don't risk in the same way as each of the Salvadorans here present today has risked. Maybe we don't risk as our 6 Jesuit brothers and sisters, the housekeeper and her daughter, risked. As each person who lives and struggles in El Salvador for something new risks. But we risk, and we risk a little bit more every day. And today, as we stand here on these Capitol steps, we commit ourselves to continue risking, to continue giving up that which protects us, to continue to tear down the walls of security that a system of death tempts us with, offers us, so that we don't question militarism, so that we don't question materialism. We will continue to risk. And lastly, in your risk-taking, you in Minneapolis, you in St. Paul have started to build life. Out of the death of the martyrs, the blood-soaked ground, comes the new sprigs of life. Here there are communities, there's Minneapolis with Segundo Montes, there's St. Paul with Ciudad Romero, there's St. Stephen supporting Santa Marta. There are communities here cities here that are saying we are going to build life along with those who are creating life in the midst of death. And they can't be killed. Soldiers went in and killed 500 chickens in Segundo Montes because they can't kill the people. And they can't kill the people because you're here and they're there and nobody is afraid of death anymore. We're doing it. So, Father Martin Barro used to sing a song. Usted no es nada, no es chicha ni limonada. You're nothing. You're neither corn liquor nor lemonade. It's for all those we know out there, the people we work with, the people in our families, the people we see on the streets who don't want to take a side. They aren't corn liquor and they're not lemonade. Well, it's our job to go out after tonight, holding the flame of the martyrs in us, and begin the work of the ant, as the Salvadorans say, and making sure each of those people make an action. First, to be on the outside. Second, to build community. Third, to risk. And fourth, to create new life. Not just in El Salvador, but here.